All right, welcome back. In the last video, we started developing this application for running shaders. And it's kind of a clone of ShaderToy, the website called ShaderToy. And so far, it just looks like this. So here we're actually running some code on the GPU that's just drawing this picture. That code we have in another file. Here we go. And no, that's not the code. This is the code. And what I want to do now is to, first of all, change this. Let's just call it position, but that means we also have to change the vertex shader. Just call it position. But the main thing I want to do today is to add a button so that we can reload the shader code. So I want it to be like, you update the code and then you press a button and that reloads the shader, or tries to reload the shader. So it should also handle errors and kind of maybe report them in a nice way. But first of all, let's just try to reload the shader and recompile it. So I think that is something we should do here in the shader module. We can create a new one and we can destroy it and we can paint, but we probably want a function that is called something like load. Let's call it load shader from path, and it probably needs a mutable reference to self, and then it needs a path, which maybe it has to be something like, I know there is some kind of special type for file system paths in Rust, but I don't remember what it's called. Is it called OS path? STD path. Okay, give me a second, I will look it up. Okay, so evidently we have this path module in the standard library. So we're gonna be using that and probably just use it like this. I think we just want the type and nothing else. It's not a trait or anything, so we're just gonna say path, and it's going to try to load it. So I think it's also going to return like a result. So either it worked or it's an error message. And what's the problem here? So I'm just going to put do. Why is it underlining this? What does the library say? Slice of a path. This type supports and operations. This is an unsized type, meaning it must always be used behind a pointer like this or that. Okay, but it can be a pointer, so that's fine. Our reference. So what we want to do is basically this stuff that we have up here. Let's try to get the source first. So there should be something in here like read the entire contents of a file into a bytes vector. So we don't want that. We want to read to string, and this is a convenience function for using your imports and without using, okay, whatever. So we read to string, and what does it take? It takes something that is kind of like a path. So we should be able to actually just give it the path and content. However, it can return an error, so maybe we unwrap it. Should that work? No, that doesn't work. So maybe we map the error. This one applies some kind of a function to the error. So let's say do something with the error, and then we can turn it into some kind of error type that we like, and then unwrap it. Okay, so what can we do with this guy? It's an error, but that doesn't really tell us much. Maybe just toString, and maybe we'll do something like format loading file failed error, and then this guy string, and we return that. Why to string is implied. Okay, so we don't need this. We can just format it. Okay, so now we have the contents. That's basically this one. Now we should try to compile it. Actually, we need to recreate the full program. So we need to do this. Maybe we want to refactor this. Vertex array. So let's copy that. And let's have a private function that we call compile shader. Can be this, and it should take a vertex source, which is a string, and a fragment source, which is also a string, and it should return two things. It should return a shader and a vertex array. I don't really know if these are right types, but let's not think about that. Actually, it should return a program, I guess. So native program. Native program. Okay, so it returns not a shader, but a native program. And probably that's from like the Glow module, native program. Okay, and what's this vertex array thingy? It is a native vertex array. Great. Native vertex array. So that's good. That's what to do. Okay. And we can call it shader, so it removes the need to rename things inside the body of the function. So we have that. We need this GL, which is a Glow context. Okay. So let's put that here, or here rather. Glow context. So we have that. Shader version. Honestly, for now, I'm just going to put it here. It's a static string like that. And this we should just be able to rename. Okay. Anyway. So what do we have here? Shader, create shader. What is it complaining about? There is no method named create shader. It's weird because we have to use this. Okay. And all of this crap is actually not safe. And then we need to create a program. And here maybe this is a something like that, so we can actually just do this. Do we want to return also result here? I guess because, yeah, if the compilation fails, we have like a syntax error or something, we want to know that. All right, so this one, okay, we cannot create the shader. Okay, so actually I want to change this. Let me just get it back. So we can create a shader. Okay, and it's going to be first we create the vertex shader. And this can fail, so we'll do like that. Then we set the source for the shader, and it's going to be the vertex shader source. Sorry, it's going to be this thing. Okay. So that's fine. Then we compile the shader, and this doesn't fail. It cannot really fail. But let's do this kind of thing. So what does this return? It returns a Boolean, which is either true or false. So if it's false, it means it failed. So if it didn't work, then we're going to return an error, and it has a string inside it, and the error message is going to be failed to compile a vertex shader. This basically should never happen. At least in the current version of the code, because the vertex shader is hard-coded. But there you have it. And then we can attach this shader to the program. Great. And this one, we're actually going to call it vertex shader. Then we're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be the fragment shader. Great. And here, fragment shader. So let's do some comments. Create program, and that. Compile vertex shader. I like to make these little sections. Makes it a little bit easier to read, I feel. And link program. So we link the program, and that can also fail. So we should say if it didn't link correctly, then return error. And we might change this in the future. Program info log on program. And I'm missing something. There we go. We might change how this works. Maybe instead of just returning a string, like having some specific error type, but for now, don't really see the point. Okay, vertex shader. Call it vertex shader. We call it vertex shader. Then we can delete it. And then we create a vertex array. And finally, I suppose we return program and vertex array. It has to be okay. Great. So that allows us to load it. So actually we could go here and we could say, maybe just mark the entire function as unsafe. That's better. Because basically the entire function is unsafe. So it makes no sense. But let's go ahead and say program vertex array is going to be self compile shader. It takes the context, it takes the vertex source and the fragment source. And we can let's just unwrap it for now. And what's the problem? There is no self. It's actually not even using self, so maybe we just keep it as an associated function. So here we can go ahead and say shader. Then we should be able to just get rid of all of this. Okay, so this one we also don't need. And we don't need the static apparently, so remove that. Okay, great. But now we can use it here. So we loaded the content. So this is going to be the fragment source, And the vertex shader source is constant. So we can keep it out there and reuse it down here. So let's say program vertex array is going to be shader compile shader, and it needs the context, which we don't have right here, but that's okay. It needs the context, and it needs the vertex shader source and these contents of the file. And this is basically, maybe we just unwrap it. And we can borrow this. Okay. So we need the context, which is context like that. And this is unsafe. So we can just wrap it in unsafe like that, I think. Great. So now we have that. We should actually, before we load the new shader and program, we should delete the old one. So we should actually we should call destroy, I guess. So self destroy using the context. And we do only want to do that after. And then here we can say, okay, the new program is this program, and the new vertex array is this vertex array. So I think that should be okay. And then we can just return okay in the end. That should be correct. Let's try to run it so we see if the refactoring didn't break anything. So it did break something. Failed to compile vertex shader. Fair enough. Actually weird. Where do we have outputs? Out color, we're doing out color, but it also means we have a problem here. So this is actually the fragment shading. Run it again. Okay, so that works. Now let's add a button to the UI. Here we have the panel, and so here we have, like, let's say general hotkeys, and this is maybe let's say shader canvas, and then let's add some buttons, and it's going to be something called load shader, or rather, let's say reload shader. And if that is clicked, then what are we going to do? So we actually need to keep the context, I think. So it's a geo context. It's gonna be this. And now we need lifetimes, which what is this thing anyway? It is some kind of context. Okay, geo context GL. That seems to work. And then there's lifetime here. We also need it here. Okay. Explicit lifetime required in the type of CC lifetime. A required, but didn't I just Maybe it's not there. Maybe it's here. Okay. Now this one has a problem. The trade bound, even, okay, that's just because down here we should have lifetime and lifetime here. Okay, so now we have the context, and let's even try to run it. So that did not work. So it's completing up here. Settings value requires that 1 must outlive 2. So creation context. What if we didn't do this? We just cloned it. It is an arc of a context, so maybe we do arc the context. So that was fine. This one we can remove now, I think. This lifetime we don't really need. Let's try to run that. Okay, so we got around it somehow. Okay, but great. So what is actually the path of the shader? It is frag.jsl. So let us go here. So the path is this, and let's try just with frag.jsl for now, and then we are going to say self shader that load. Do we not have the shader? So okay, we need to lock it, and then what does that return? It's like, do we need to unwrap? Forget how we do this. So the shader lock. No, it should be fine just to. Okay, it is right there. I just didn't see it. So GL context and the path, and this will return some kind of error. So let's or result. And if it's okay, we just don't really do anything. And if it's an error, it has a message, and then we're going to, for now, just print it to the console like that. And that should be it. Still, it has some kind of issue here. And why did it work before? So here we just create a shader, but that just takes a reference. So this here, it cannot treat it as a reference. So maybe we just say, please treat it as a reference. Okay. So let's try that. Let's try that. Still compiles. Want to run it in a slightly different way. Let's put this one. Let's have a run. And now if we go here and we say, okay, actually make things slightly or like fill out the blue color channel, then I don't have a button, so that's great. Cannot see the button because we allocated too much space. We don't really want available size. Let's say for now just like 300. Actually, let's maybe do it the right way. So let's say available size is this, and we want, let's say 90% of that. So available size, can we just do like that? Yes. Okay. Well, now it's reloaded with the changes we made. So we say, okay, interesting, but we don't like it. Change it back. And then we should be able to just reload. So it failed. No such file or directory. So I thought that might happen. Because the way we handle like the actual string that represents the path is kind of like messed up. I think we need to sort. Later on we'll add some kind of file dialog or something to actually do it the right way. But for now this is maybe no, it's okay. So that worked. Now we can actually reload the file without restarting the program. Well, that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I think I want to do one thing regarding the layout. Custom painting. Don't really want to multiply everything by 90, just the height. And now if we run it, it should be a little bit better looking. Yeah, now we take up all the horizontal space, but we have a little bit of extra for buttons and such. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.